Okay, now a part I was confused by, verses 15 through 18. Paul describes some Christian brothers and sisters who are preaching boldly because of Paul's imprisonment, but some are not his friends, and they are doing it to get on his nerves, to add to Paul's suffering. And what is confusing is that Paul refers to these people who want to cause him pain as brothers and sisters. They are still family to Paul, even though they do this. There's a lot I could say about this passage, but let me cut to the chase in the interest of time. There always has been, and there always will be, Christians who fundamentally disagree with you and are okay causing you or letting you suffer. There always has been and always will be, but the only question here is, are you going to let it bother you? Are you going to let it get to you? Is that thoughtless, tiny little Facebook share really going to be the monkey wrench that breaks down your witness? I have something else to say about contentment. If spreading the gospel is the goal, and participating in Christ's suffering is part of how to get there, then questions about who's really my brother and sister get the volume turned down on them. If you notice your chains, you watching this, the heavy chains of Christ's suffering on us, then those Facebook posts, those under-the-breath murmurs, they're not really going to stop you from the gospel. They are light in comparison. They are tiny hurdles in a fully sized track race. I remember seeing a Vine or something of a track race, 7 or 8 people doing the hurdles. These are big hurdles. Everyone runs and jumps over the first hurdle. Then the second hurdle comes and one girl falls over the hurdle onto her face. Instantly last place. But that's okay because she gets up and keeps running, which is the important thing. And she proceeds to fall over every single other hurdle. And the Vine is funny because the guy running alongside the track, filming her trips and falls, he falls himself at the end of the race. When you've got the gospel on your mind, when you're willing to wait, when you're finding the power of Christ's resurrection in that place that feels like his death, when the chains are on you, you don't trip over hurdles as small as other Christians trying to get you down. Remember your baptism. It is a stronger unifier than anything they can post, whether they know it or not. I say all that, and it's not so easy. Paul is our model for a reason. It's not because he's just getting started at this sort of thing. At the beginning, I was thinking of my own personal favorite prison movies, and the one that came to my mind was The Great Escape. Talk about some discontented prisoners. The movie is not called The Long Cooperation for a reason. It's like the mirror opposite of Paul's situation in so many ways. And I love that movie, and I want to motorcycle jump over barbed wires and Nazis. Dang, we've been talking a lot about Nazis lately. But anyway, let me spoil the ending in the vaguest way that I possibly can. The prisoners in The Great Escape escape their Nazi prison camp. And the last hour of the movie is those prisoners being hunted down around Germany. Most of them are recaptured or killed or both. But it doesn't mean that the movie was pointless or that it was bad. If anything, the goal of the Allied soldiers was achieved even in their suffering. They stuck it to the man. And some of them got to wear cool leather jackets while they did it. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he can't help but to return to Germany. Even as evil grows and Hitler is crowned lord of Bonhoeffer's home country, he still goes. And he works his butt off for God, and God's reward is a concentration camp where Bonhoeffer can experience the sufferings of Christ finally. And he gets to experience the suffering of a bunch of other dying Jewish people too. Bonhoeffer turns out to be content with that. It's not all rosy. I don't want to picture it. I don't want to paint it like that. But he has a good day the day that they choose him to be hung to death out on the yard. If Paul is writing this letter from Rome, then we know what his contentment got him. We know what he was waiting for. We know what he saw when he finally was able to go outside after waiting so long. It reminds me of Noah again, but Noah didn't leave the ark and find a chopping block for his neck, which is what tradition tells us Paul found, at least eventually. Decapitation. But we'll read later on that Paul is even content with that. How can he be our model during coronavirus time, where we have to wait and be content and perhaps face a death at the end? That's all I have for today. I love you guys. I will see you next week, hopefully on Zoom, as Pierre and I try to figure that out. I am not a Zoom aficionado, but I have confidence that I can learn it in the next week, more in the next week. And I have confidence we can all be better together as we get to be together over Zoom. And one last thing.